And now, this week's edition of Big Face with your host, Samantha Jane Tilton.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Face. I'm your host, Samantha Jane Tilton. Sammy Jane Tilton, you choose it. And my guest today, actor Darren Goldstein. How you doing?
Hello.
Thank you for being on today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
You look great.
Thanks. It's good lighting. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, I'm right in, right outside Midtown.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
Take credit, man. Quarantine's been a tough time for a lot of people and not feeling good about themselves. You look great.
Thank you. I have two kids that keep me busy. Who were doing the homeschooling thing. We're not putting them into their school. We thought there were a bit too many hoops to jump through. But
a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So you're doing the homeschooling. And you're in the city, so you're not even in like suburbs.
Manhattan. Oh no, Midtown since March.
Wow, man, since March.
Midtown since March, and we went away for 1 week, and we have been here the entire time.
Wow.
And we have seen all these stores closed down. I mean, it's crazy.
Because when I've driven through the city, like rarely, I live in Queens, but it's like, wow. And I was saying, I don't know how it would feel to live there right now, you know?
It was bad. It was particularly bad when I would take my boys out. We would go walking around in like April and May when people were really even scared to be outside, but we would go outside. And it was frightening in a way because there was really nothing. I mean, nothing was open. This was during real lockdown times. So a pizza place wasn't even open.
I know.
Barely. Maybe the banks were open, maybe. And now you go out and it's better. Everything's pretty much open. However, there's so many businesses that have closed.
It's so crazy.
Boards over everything. I mean, coffee places, all the local, the delis that are on the corners that are on some have gone. So you have
so sad.
And then, West Bank. Have you been to West Bank? You know West Bank?
No.
Okay, so West Bank is this big kind of theater hangout restaurant on the corner of 42nd and 9th, West Bank Cafe.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like we have a million opening night parties and a million.
I know exactly. I've been there and yes, absolutely.
So we know the owner and he was like, I'm almost done. Oh. And they did it. They had a big we're in the process. There's a big GoFundMe campaign.
Yeah.
To save the West Bank. And hopefully, because that place is
it's a lamp. Yeah. It's the craziest thing. Not that Century 21, the department store, is the same caliber, but like that was closing. And and all these things that are just staples that you find in New York, it's just everything's closing. It's
so
just
sad.
I know.
And there's we're obviously there's going to be a whole reckoning of what happens when we're finally going back to things and we can kind of finally stare at the wreckage. It's like a big tornado right now that you're just trying to get inside. And then when it's clearing, you're going to look out and you're like, oh my God, the wreckage of mental health, financial ruin, and kind of public trust and whatever is just going to be carnage.
I know it's so crazy. I almost I sometimes go to think about it and then I go, just staying right now. Because it actually seems so far away. I know they're doing vaccines now and stuff, but
till life comes back. I mean, theater, what are we thinking? I mean, the people who I deal with, a year. We're thinking hopefully by next fall there can be some shows starting up.
Yeah. I know. It's so crazy. So wait, so you're in the city since March. Where were you before that?
Well, I live in the city. You mean where I've been where I live. For 22 years.
But you're am I wrong? Are you from Huntington?
Yeah.
That's what I was like. I think you're a Huntington guy. Yeah. So
more specifically Melville.
Okay. Oh, okay. So those of you that are in another country or not from New York, that is in Long Island, which is like the suburbs. And
where are you from?
Belmore, originally. Actually, I grew up there my whole life until I went away to school.
Right.
Do you know? You know Belmore?
I mean, I know of the town. Certainly.
Yeah. It's next to Merrick and Massapequa.
Yeah.
It's right over there. Yeah. But
North Shore? It's North Shore.
South Shore. I swear to God, I'm always just like, I don't know.
Like by
I think
Roslyn?
it's South Shore.
Right.
No. No. Yeah. It's all,
Whatever.
I feel like everything in Long Island is like 20 minutes away.
That's hysterical. Right.
Unless you're really far.
Unless you're really far by the Hamptons. Yeah. Everything's like a half hour away. Yeah.
It's so funny, right? So you actually, when I reached out to you, maybe a little over a month ago, you were in the middle of, you were like, I'm actually busy with a project right now.
Yeah. I was doing a Lifetime movie.
Yeah?
Lifetime television for women. I don't know. Like, do you say that anymore? I wonder if they're going to change their thing.
Do they still say that? I'm actually curious.
Lifetime television for women. I don't even know. Like, I can't imagine that would be cool anymore.
It's so crazy because everything I watch nowadays, like, I'm like, that would never fly now. Nothing would fly now.
You know what I watched the other day? The movie Airplane.
Oh my God.
Take a look at that movie, and I am telling you, the racism, the misogyny, it is crazy. This is 40 years ago. It's hysterical.
It's right.
I grew up with that movie, but it's also it's a completely antiquated kind of humor. You could never get away with 2/3 of the stuff that they say there. Homophobic.
It's everything.
So offensive but like not really laughing at too many white people. White males are kind of but laughing
kind
at
of excluded. Yes, every other thing under the sun except themselves.
Take a look at it for like Airplane. For all people out there, you want to look at humor that was like what I grew up with in like 1980.
Yep.
That was it. And why the learning curve for people is so steep, because this is what we grew up with. Dude,
did you ever watch the show The Goldbergs? It's a sitcom.
I know of it, but I never watched it. No.
I mean, I did you grow up Jewish? I'm Goldstein. I'm like, probably grew up Jewish. Yeah.
Sure.
So me as well. My last name you can't tell anything from it, but I grew up Jewish. And so The Goldbergs it's a sitcom. It's so great. It's such
Jeff Garland.
Yes.
Jeff Garland. Yeah,
he is like brilliant, dude. He is so good. The writing, everything about it is great. But bringing back to the 80s, like there's so many shout outs to old movies and stuff that we grew up with. One of them being, which I love this episode, but it had to do with Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever watched that or if it was
I know it's another one. I know like the back of my hand. Yeah.
Do you know, I don't even think it's allowed to, I heard it doesn't stream anywhere anymore. It's not even available. And I'm like, what? Revenge of the Nerds is great. But I don't know if you remember this. And I
remember everything about that movie.
Yeah. That one of them like pretends to be someone else with the sorority girl in a sexual situation. Yeah. So that's considered rape. And,
of course.
And right. But so it's like banned. It's just, I don't know. It's crazy. So many things. It's just such a different world.
I mean, it'll come back. Those movies will come back. I think just for a little while, we need to I guess Hollywood studios need to kind of say, we fucked up in the past.
Right. And it's
when we can,
it's like, they did what they knew and what was accepted at the time. And that changes always, but like even Gone with the Wind was taken off of
HBO
streaming.
Max. I know, yeah.
And then they brought it back with commentary and
with a little like warning at the beginning.
Yes.
Well, if you watch The Crown now, you know the show The Crown?
Yes, I've heard great things. I've never seen it.
So good. Anyway,
The Crown.
They show they show up. There's some episodes of Diana.
Yes.
Lady Diana or Princess Diana, and she was bulimic. Right. So they show scenes of that, and before each episode, they say, "You're going to see depiction of bulimia. If you need help, X, Y, and Z, call this hotline."
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's great. I mean, that's great. Before, I don't know. I love technology and I love accessibility, but I hate it at the same time.
Of course.
I think I loved growing up without cell phones, and I just think it was a better way to grow up.
I know. You kind of look back at that time with a little bit of romance, right? It just, but I think every generation kind of looks back when they were younger.
I think so
times,
too. I think so. But
we
I
have
just,
so much more
yeah,
at our fingertips now.
I know. You know what I watched last night, actually? I don't know if you remember this movie, but Scrooged with Bill Murray.
Yes, I never saw that movie. Does it hold up?
Shockingly, because I was like, I haven't seen it since I was younger. It holds up so well. That movie could come out now and it is so tight and so good.
Okay.
Watch it.
Well, we have
It's
movie night with my kids every Friday night, so my wife and I, so we'll choose that.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's a really good, my boyfriend had never seen it. And so we watched it for the first time. And he was expecting a Christmas. Actually, how old are your kids?
It doesn't matter. They're kind of sophisticated in terms of movie taste. I just
Okay.
showed them Airplane.
That's
So, you know,
because I looked at it though. I looked
9
at
and
Scrooge.
10. 9 and
Yes, 9 and 10. Okay, because I was like, I wonder if I was scared of this when I was a kid. Because it's Scrooge, so there's like the
10.
ghost of
Creepy.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so take that into consideration. But yeah, think about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but so okay, so Lifetime. So you were doing that.
Yeah,
How did that go? And did
Great,
that finish?
Yeah, that was a few weeks. That was fine. It's just being on set during the COVID times, and it's tighter, it's different. Everyone's
Yeah.
wearing masks. When you're getting makeup put on, they have masks, and then they have the shield. Take it very seriously. My
Yeah.
wife is on a show. She's doing The Gilded Age on HBO, and
Okay.
they had to close down for a few days because someone was infected.
Wow.
But
scary, man.
very, very serious.
It's serious
Spending
stuff,
a
but
lot of money. They're spending a lot of money to make sure these precautions are taken seriously.
that's why like I hope production continues and I'm always just like in some ways I'm like I can't believe things are in production because it's so crazy, but
I know.
but thank
You
God.
have to. Yeah, thank God. Yeah.
So you guys have been working and that's great.
Yeah. I mean, her show was about to go into production, and she was about to start working in 2 weeks when the whole thing went down in March. So they shut it down for 6 months, and then they came back. Yeah.
How is that? You guys, so you are both as a couple working actors.
Yeah.
Were you always both pursuing acting?
Oh yeah. As long as we knew each other, as long as we've known each other. Yeah. Yep. We met at Williamstown.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I have to ask, was that ever difficult? Like,
No.
no.
No, there are some couples where it just like it gets competitive and there's a little jealousy. For us, for whatever reason, it could be that she was well established by the time we met and did this show together. Like
Yeah.
she had already won a Tony Award. She was embedded into the, into the community already, and she had a certain name for herself. Nobody knew who I was at the time, and
Yeah.
it just from the beginning. Her victories were mine and vice versa. It just works out. I mean, I am telling you, never has it been 1 ounce of jealousy nothing. No, it's just blessed. I can't explain why necessarily. Could be our personalities.
No, that's that. I feel
Yeah.
like when you find, for me, my boyfriend, he's the one, which this totally threw us off track with but we live in a studio apartment together and he works from home and we do amazing together. And
he's an actor.
He is a comedian and podcaster and
cool.
And a writer, and he's a creative person as well.
Yeah.
And so it is all pushing each other, like his victories, his growth, it's my own and vice versa. And
I know
that is I could have never imagined that be possible. And it's like, we are each other's biggest champions. And it's just such a gift to have that. We're very lucky.
Yeah. It really helps things out.
Yeah. And and also, it's not always a simple path financially as a creative person or pursuing a career. And so I was kind of wondering that as well. And then like having kids and establishing yourself was
all
that
of it. Never. I mean, it was just, there were some times where there were many years she made much more money. Some years I made more, and it was just worked out. it was fine.
Was it from starting? When did you start acting?
The first thing I ever did was in college. I was like, kind of just like this Long Island kid who went to college, played some sports, joined a fraternity, and
Yeah.
went to SUNY Albany. And like, I was that guy.
You were Long Island.
I was Long Island, and I was kind of dissatisfied with my college life. I was kind of uninspired in terms of what I was learning. It just seemed to be a very general college education. And then I'm telling you, I can't understand. I don't even remember, but I wandered into an audition for the Threepenny Opera. And it was a musical by Bertolt Brecht and Kurt Weill. And I had a monologue and I sang a song and I got cast. And I think they were charmed by my inexperience, because so many people at that point, get into college plays, have been doing it for so long and they know all about the jargon and the thing. And I was just like, sing a song. Like, people would come on stage and you'd go, hi, my name is, Darren Goldstein, and I'm doing my monologue today will be this and this. And I just walked on. I was like, hey, what do you want me to sing? What do you want me to do? Like, I didn't know any of the rules. They were charmed by that. I took an acting class and just full steam ahead for the last, that was 1994. So 26 years.
That's amazing. And I like to kind of ask people when it started, because a lot of people feel very discouraged that, I know I have been one of those people, that they didn't go to school for it, that they didn't do it their whole time growing up, that, and the thing is that everybody has a different starting point. And so it's nice to hear, because I didn't start until it's always been the dream, but life happened. It's always been pushed down, and had to deal with a lot of other stuff in life before I was able to go, I'm ready to be me and do what I want to do,
Absolutely.
And I remember even in acting class, it was like my first class, and I had no idea what a slate was. So they were like, all right, slate, and then go into the material. And I was like,
what's a slate?
What's a slate?
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, a slate means you say your name and whatever they ask you to say, if it's your height or something, before you start the material. But I had no freaking clue. I don't know.
I know.
So it's a learning process.
Oh gosh, so many things you have to learn. I did an internship when I was 23. I worked down at the Shakespeare Theater in Washington, D.C.
Nice.
And I made $75 a week. And I was a spear carrier. And all it taught me was how to be a professional actor. When it came down to it, it's like how you behave, the way you speak to people. I mean, subtle things, like just things that you would think come naturally, but there's just a way to do things that you need to, it's kind of like you need to apprentice in this world.
I swear, I always say that I think every actor should have to spend some time on the casting part of things and on different aspects of the business, because you're clueless otherwise. Yeah. And I think so many people could learn so much, but the professionalism, you'd think it would be, a given. It is absolutely not. It's unbelievable how many people don't behave the way that you would want or think. So, so it's really amazing. And so for those of you that don't know, a couple of the things, when I met Darren at one of the studios, and it was one-on-one, just in the lobby, and we just started talking, and because I approached you to let you know that I thought you were great on The Affair and Ozark.
Yeah, I remember.
And so those are a couple of the things that Darren has had the pleasure of being a part of. I don't know how the experience was for you. I guess I'll ask you.
Yeah. No,
The good fortune.
Great.
How my huge Maine Coon cat is jumping down. So they have a perch. So I have two Maine Coon cats. They have perches like at the ceiling that I built. So they like jump up these shelves to the ceiling. It's funny.
There you go. And then they jump down and make a lot of noise.
Oh yes. Just cats, so that's the noisy stuff. So did you have a big break? Did you have something that kind of shifted the course?
Sure. There have been several steps. nothing. Every, I mean, if you're starting out, I was living in Long Island with my mother, working at a TGI Fridays in Huntington, commuting into the city 2 times a week to take classes, knowing no one. And like in my brain, breaks to me just meant steps, like steps. I want to take a step. I want to take a step. The first step to me was something so subtle as getting into auditioning and getting into a good acting school. That was a step. Then auditioning for this internship at the Shakespeare Theater, where the artistic director was a man named Michael Kahn, who your younger people might know about, but who is a very, very, very esteemed director and artistic director. And I got that. That was the next step. Step after that was I got into NYU for my MFA. Then after that, 3 years, I worked on I understudied. I got my first job. So that's a step, understudying with Viola Davis in a play called Intimate Apparel. Then I got a big show at the place called The New Group, which was called Abigail's Party, which was a big hit and went on to 6 months. That was a step. Then I got a Broadway show and I did Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson. Then I got started getting TV jobs. So it's been like, and then I did The Affair, and then I worked with Cynthia Nixon on a play called Rashida Speaking, which then got me to a play called Little Foxes on Broadway. And I worked with Laura Linney, which then got me to Ozark. So it's just like, the reason I build this so specifically is I just painted out from nothing until like steps have, and the reason I also mention that is because there is so much thought in your brain of like, I need my break. I need my that thing that puts me, like that I'm waiting. And I'm telling you, for people starting out 21, 22, 23 years old, all you got to do, one foot in front of the other, step, because this is a long distance race. If you're going to get involved in this career, it's a long distance race. So it's just like step, take tiny steps. And before you know it, you've climbed, it's taken me 20 years, but that's a body of work. And within all those steps, there was also like commercials and TV gigs and smaller shows, but I just painted out 10 of the things that just come to my mind.
Of course, there's so many little things. There's a conversation with this person that made you be able to do that. It's all these things. It's funny because whenever people say something to me like, oh, I just really hope that you'll get your big break. And I truly don't believe in that. I don't, because people get a huge role in something and you may never see them ever again. It doesn't, getting one big role or a huge, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it means something. It's great.
Well, it's a splash. It's a splash, and it's what we all go, wow. And then it could be great, but it could, but the vast majority of people in this business do not get big breaks. They keep working and they have little splashes, just like splash, bigger splash, bigger. This is a bigger break. This is a smaller break, bigger. And it was important to me to always have a good, for 10 years, how many years out of school? 7 years out of school, I had a job waiting tables that I treated very well, because I knew that having a good quality of life was very important to me.
And I just want to reiterate, and you said you didn't know anybody to start out, right?
I knew a few people who had gone to my undergrad who were working off Broadway. Right. So to me, they had made it.
Right.
Just because they were a working actor. They were still struggling and making jack shit off Broadway.
Right.
But they were doing it.
Yep.
They were grinding it out. And a grind out for a while was like, that's it. So knew no one. Would take classes, knew no one. So anything that I've done has just been, just from crazy stubbornness and hard work.
And I asked that, and you may a lot of people ask well, what do you want me to speak about? Or what do you plan on talking about when I come on? And the thing is that being somebody that knew not one thing, I just had a dream. I had what I knew I'm supposed to do. I did not know anything. I remember when I first had to audition for my acting teacher to work with him, I had to prepare a monologue. I swear to you, I did not even know what a monologue was. I knew nothing because all I did was act in plays as a kid and loved it. So there's a lot of people out there that do have dreams or have been pursuing and don't know, like, that they don't have to know somebody, that it is possible, that to take note of the little things that help them build themselves in their career. I think it's
Yeah.
really hopeful for people to hear that.
I mean, to be honest, it was for a very long time I was singularly focused. It was the most important thing in my life. I mean, it's a little bit more difficult to do when you're older and you might have kids and you're starting out.
Yeah.
But I was 21 and this was it. This was it.
Right.
This was it. This was
Plow
it.
through.
This was by far the most important thing in my life to do this. And as far as I'm concerned, at that young age, I don't know if your viewers, do you find skewer more on the younger side, on the like in 20s, or
I think it really varies. I've had like a lot of people, it's been people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, as well as young 20s. It's kind
younger.
of, yeah. So I think it really runs the gamut.
Yeah.
Which is,
well, I could say that if you were young and starting out, I think you have to be singularly focused. It's just too hard, and there are too many people who are singularly focused, and that doesn't mean crazy. That means just like eye on the ball.
Yep.
Focused. Taking the opportunities that you can, whether it's readings or student films. I mean, you got to learn all that stuff, and it's brutal sometimes. It's like you get paid nothing, shitty conditions. You feel like you're like, what is this sometimes? And it's just, you got to grin and bear it.
There's the actor Kelly O'Coin. I don't know if you know him.
I know Kelly. Yeah.
He was on the show and he's the loveliest, but there's a story that he told me when I had met him, and I'm going to butcher it, and it's in the episode, but because I was like, she said this, and he's like, no, it went like this. But anyway, Sally Field, I believe, said to him some other things that I'm not, because I'm going to butcher it, but she said, like, take every opportunity to get to practice your craft doing what you love. Every opportunity. Kelly, if I butcher that, I'm sorry. But and it's like, yeah, it's especially when you're starting. Especially when you're starting out. It is such a good opportunity. You never know who you're going to connect with, may want to create with later, may do something that may think of you. I've had people reach out to me that I hadn't seen since I started acting class years ago, think of me for a film of theirs or something. And it's like, how did you even think of me? You just never know. You just never know.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you're speaking more of the connection side of it. Look at it as going to the gym. You're going to the career gym. You're just like, it's an opportunity to kind of like work out, like, and it's just the craft gym or the career gym or whatever, it is.
And
that's what you're doing.
And and I meant the both of it. Like you have no idea like what you're going to get to work on, that it can, I think it all strengthens you. And you talked about being singularly focused, and it's like, I was that when I first started. I was like kind of obsessive about it and like really running for it. And then stuff happened in life, and then that was a focus, but also other things started happening, and my life started to come more fully together. And I was like, oh, but now I'm not as focused. But I continued to take steps, but also all that stuff that filled down in my life before it was just acting contributed to like making me a better actor. Like,
absolutely. Well, as you go on and as you get older, obviously life is going to come into play, and it might not be, you might not be as acting, and the pursuit might take the backseat to other things. Right. You get into a relationship, you move with your partner to San Francisco, and you're doing that and that for a little while, but that, yes, that absolutely might happen. But if you start out in your young 20s kind of in that focused way, you'll be kind of like, making the neural pathways, knowing how to kind of think
Yep.
along the lines of making your career choice,
Yep.
the most important thing.
Yep. Couple things. I wanted to ask you. So when I emailed Darren just the information about the show and stuff, I'm like, what about any social media you want me to share? And you were like, I don't really do social media, which I gotta say, I freaking love, because I hate social media. But there is this, at least for me or for somebody that has not established a fully working acting career that is like completely able to just be there. I feel the need to, or feel the pressure to put my stuff out there, put myself out there. And I think a lot of people do, especially now. There's so much stuff about how many Instagram followers you have, and I think it's such crap. But I'm curious your thoughts on it, because you don't really do social media when it comes to your acting.
No. I mean, I'm certainly on it, but it's not career-wise. I'm not I don't post about things that I'm doing. Rarely. I mean, when I did The Affair, Showtime had asked me, "Oh, can you do a live tweeting session?" And that was fine. But it's just not something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And for better or worse, some people might say, well, you gotta like X, Y, or Z. And
you don't gotta nothing.
If a job, if I was on a job and they pulled me aside and they said, listen, we'd really like you to have an Instagram presence and post some things from the show.
Right.
Well, that's part of the equation of the job. And whether I say, like, oh, okay, or that's a different choice. But without a job and just like selling myself as a person trying to get work, I'm just not interested in doing that.
I think that's
for me,
wonderful.
that's just, and I will, people might, for better or worse, I'm saying there are some people that might say, great. There's some people that might say, well, you're selling yourself short. That's fine. I'm just not interested in doing that. Yeah.
I love that. And I am on the same page, and yet feel that pressure, or buckle to that pressure that like, put my show out there, put myself out there. If like,
I know.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I wanted to ask you,
it's a balancing act. Absolutely. And you're selling a show, you're selling something that you need people to see. And so that's kind of the only way you are going to get eyeballs on your thing.
Yeah.
I'm just counting on, if I get a job in the theater will take care of like social media, and people will see me then, or the television show will do that. Unfortunately,
100%.
like, you have to do it because you're selling a product.
Yeah, it's my project, my company. It's like,
it's the only way. It's the only way you can kind of get free advertising in a way.
It's a tough line. Yeah,
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I wanted to ask you, and just in talking to you, do you feel like you always stay appreciative of what you have and how far you've come, or do you think sometimes it's easy to take it for granted?
I don't take it for granted. I am appreciative of it, but like everyone else, there are moments when you're just not happy with where you are and you want more. And that's the struggle, to not be envious. I have certainly gotten better with it over the years, but I don't know if I've gotten better of it because I've just got more opportunities and I'm like, oh, cool. But you're always, the carrot's always moving. You're always like, I want that. But how I metabolize those feelings has changed over the years. It's much, I know that guy. I'm like, oh, there he is, the envious man. Hello, goodbye, see ya. So it's not that I don't feel those things anymore. It's that they don't charge me up as much.
Right.
It's just like, there, goodbye. The amount of things I have in my life to be grateful for is innumerable. So I don't no, and especially now. I have food on the table. I have 2 beautiful children. I have a beautiful wife. I'm a happy family. We've been spending
Wonderful.
the last 9 months in an 1,100 square foot apartment, not tearing each other's teeth out. So because I have that, what? Everything else is like, everything else really is gravy, but I speak from that place now. I wasn't like that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I wasn't like that 15 years ago. I did have did mash my teeth up when I saw someone get an opportunity that I didn't think deserved it or wasn't good.
Yes.
But I think that just comes with maturity and confidence, and you can't force that feeling. You just have to kind of grow into that feeling of like, oh, look where I am. I feel fine that person got that. I'm on my own path. I have my own trajectory. My path has nothing to do with his path. And
it's so separate.
But it takes time to kind of, for me, it took time to get to that place.
I agree. And by the way, I had deja vu while you were just talking, which is so
interesting.
Really? I always think that's fascinating. I don't know what it is.
What is that?
I don't know. I read a book by like a psychic a million years ago, and she was saying that it's if there's a blueprint for your life, when you are walking on the blueprint for your life, when you hit a point where you're like exactly where you're supposed to be on your blueprint, you get deja vu.
Oh, really?
And I was like, that is so interesting. No idea if that's true. Funny. How the hell would we know? But it's always so fast because as you were talking, I'm like, oh, we've had this, like, I totally saw it again. It's kind of crazy.
It is really crazy.
So yeah, thank you for being maybe correctly on my blueprint when you're supposed to. I don't know. It's so bizarre.
But they happen at the most random moments. I could be just sitting in the bathroom, like looking at a zit, and I'm like,
I know.
What? I'm on my blueprint because I'm like, hey?
This is the right zit at the right moment. It's amazing. So I'll ask you, theater or film and TV? I'm just curious. What's your fave?
I mean, they both kind of satiate different things.
Yeah.
I was trained in theater, obviously. I know how to do theater.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to do TV and film, but I'm much less experienced in that department. I mean, I've done a decent amount now, but and so, film and TV pays more. And, I can make more in 1 week in TV than I can in, 3 months of a show, off-Broadway show.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it all.
Yeah.
So with a family, if I do a play, it's because I can afford to do a play.
Yeah.
Or
right.
It's
the truth of it. Just the pay is different. It's just different.
Yeah, but I love, but there's so much to learn and glorious things about film and TV, just the technical aspects and learning and what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
But it's my theater training that has just kind of, I think, given me the confidence to be able to do film and TV, because in film and TV, the most important thing, honestly, is relaxation. Meaning, like, tension can be harnessed, and tension can be tolerated much more on the stage. It can be you can use it and funnel it. It's not great, obviously, but if you are tense on TV, they're going to read it.
Yep.
And it's not going to look good, because most of TV is naturalism and making it like, you are the guy.
Right.
You are the guy.
It's amazing because on stage, you can get away with so much more. Not that it's great, right? We should always be just like able to be, God willing, present and in what we're doing. But the tension that reads on screen, and that takes away from the, the art of it. Yeah. Favorite project that you've worked on? Film, TV?
The Affair and Ozark are just equally as thrilling. Just to have kind of work with those people, and on stage was The Little Foxes. I mean, I did that on Broadway about 4 years ago, and I worked with Cynthia Nixon, and she won a Tony for it. And
it's wonderful.
I worked with Laura Linney on that, and Richard Thomas, and legends, Michael McKean, and then some other younger actors that were wonderful. And it was thrilling. And we got wonderfully reviewed. We got nominated for Best Play, Best Revival. And it was a dream. That was a dream.
Amazing. Actually, Julia Garner who from Ozark. We were classmates and
Where?
did with my old acting coach, Anthony Abeson.
Oh my gosh.
And
funny.
it's funny, I have a mug. It's in my thing, but we did a play as a class. And so on the mug, we're all there. And like Julia's just laying in the front. Like, it's just so funny. So it's amazing.
What a talent. She's fantastic. Yeah.
She's unbelievable.
When was that? How long ago was that?
That had to be 2010, maybe 11. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's a bit ago. It's at least like, maybe like 7 to 10 years ago. So dreams do come true, kids. I know. And
tell me about it. And
amazing.
I think she's from like Westchester, but she's playing this like white trash.
Like she is so good. Her sister used to be in class too. Her sister, Anna, and then she stopped acting and went into casting. And so she works in casting, and then Julia came to class. Yes.
She's a casting director?
Yeah, I think she's yes. I'm not exactly sure where she works, but yeah, she's
funny.
She works in casting. I'm sure that combination works well for them.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's great. So yeah, congrats on all the success and all the great projects. I can't wait to see you on more. And
oh, you're sweet. Thank you.
It's really wonderful, and I'm really happy that all this time in quarantine has been safe, and have your family. That sounds like, thank God.
It's been a blessing. You know, it's been tough in some ways, but
of course,
you know, spending a lot of time, you know, with my children, and that's not forever. You always see, I mean, you know, it gets a lot some days, but then, you know, it's just to be around them so much is actually wonderful. And yeah.
They don't stay that age forever. I know.
That's it. I know. I mean, I have 8 more years till they're at college, and it just everything has gone so fast already.
Oh my God.
And, I savor this stuff with them. Yeah,
that's wonderful. I have one more question for you.
Sure.
There is a portion of my show that is called "The Feather in Your Cap."
Okay.
And by feather in your cap, I mean a success or an achievement, something that you've learned that maybe has helped you in your life or that may help you in the future. I always think there was somebody that I love that used to, whenever I go through something, he'd be like, it's a feather in your cap now. And so I wanted to know if you had one that you'd offer the audience.
You know, my wife has been such a help with, this isn't a saying or anything. It's just like, you know, living for today. It's so easy to be living in like the future and what you want and what you're not getting. And it's so cliche, but it's what you have now. And I don't feel particularly articulate with this idea. It's more of a feeling to me, but I can't articulate it. I want to be honest and say right now, I don't have the words to properly articulate living in the moment. I guess just living in the moment. I mean, it's a cliche thing, so I'm apprehensive to kind of say those words, but it's
funny. I spoke to somebody recently. We were talking about cliches and like why it's like, oh, it's so cliche. They're cliches for a reason. Like,
yeah. I want to come up with something original, and I feel the pressure in my pressure to kind of come up with something. But it really is. There's so many things of like things to pull you in terms of I wish I had that, or I want that, or I want this, or look what and for me, I'm just speaking of me, it's been a real education with my wife to teach me to be present. That's the big one, be present in what's going around you, and a heightened sense of sensitivity to the energy around you. I guess it's just that.
I don't think when you are in the present that there is the exact right way to say it. It's just,
I guess so.
It's a great reminder that I can use right now and so much more often. So it's
a struggle sometimes. It's very difficult in this line of work. It's very competitive, and it's very easy to see what you're not achieving that you've set up for yourself. And I guess the best thing you can say is you have to be the best version of yourself, I guess. Like, are you being the best version of yourself? I guess that's a good one that I like. Are you working as hard as you can work without being obsessive about it?
Yeah.
Are you loving in the best way? What's getting in your way? Are you taking care of your health in the best way you can?
Yeah.
These are all things to struggle. I'm not saying that I can do these things all the time,
I get it.
but it's something to check in with always. Absolutely. That I do.
Do you consider yourself a nice actor and a generous actor? So when people,
nice actor.
and that's, and whatever that means to you, I'm like listening to you, and it's funny. People have different experiences with different actors, and they're like, oh, she was a bitch, or that guy was a dick, or oh, they were lovely.
I can speak to that. Yeah. I put a premium on, in rehearsal and on good behavior. And people say, well, it can get sticky in rehearsal, and you do have to fight for things at times. And I have no problem getting about the work and getting passionate and arguing about that. But bad behavior in the theater or in this business is unacceptable to me. Bad behavior. And collaboration and being sensitive to your other actors. Yes, I believe that is invaluable, because the more safe people feel, and the more that they don't feel like that you got their backs, just creatively, it's going to just be better. It's just, I've had people I've been on stage with who have just had a little bit of an attitude backstage, and then you get on stage and you're just self-conscious that, are they going to be mad at me for this choice that I make? It's tight now, and I'm like, I don't need that. So I go out of my way to make sure that everyone knows that I got their back, and as long as they're doing the work, also they have to do the work. That's what's important too. You got to know you got to know your lines. You need to take the job as seriously as we all do. And I'm telling you, in theater, that happens 95% of the time. At this level, when you're like off Broadway, Broadway, everyone is, for the most part, is great. I mean, you get like a star that's coming in sometimes, and you're like, what the fuck is that? You think that's going to fly? No. But by and large, they're great actors, and they behave well. Yeah. So that's a premium. So generous actor, I guess so, just because I'm I have their back. But I find, I think the most generous actors are the ones who it takes confidence to be a generous actor, because you have to like give and take, listen. Absolutely. Back and forth. You got to do that. Where there are actors that I've worked with who have a performance that's self-contained and safe, and that is a version of it. But it makes for a little bit of, it's a little boring to be on stage with those people, because they're impenetrable. You can't throw the ball at them, and it's one way. They do it one way. So that I try to not do that.
I heard Alan Cumming speak once, and he said he was talking about method acting, and teach his own, whatever works for you as an actor. But he was speaking on it and saying, you're present with this person, and you have this live thing that you're sharing, and you're creating this life together. And then when you're method acting, he's like, it's like that person goes, hold on, you stay there. They go in a corner, they do this whole thing by themselves, and then they come back and they just try and shove it into that and make that work.
I would really like to know what these method teachers would say to that, because I've heard that is a big criticism of that type of technique. I would like to know if that is a true depiction of what method acting is, because it makes no sense to me if it is.
It's right.
But
And I've heard
that's what people say.
And when Alan Cumming spoke about it like that, I was like, that is so well put. I never forgot it, because it's just like, he's like, and then they go in the corner and they just come back and they have this whole thing that they did, and then they just shove it in and make it work. And it's like, it kills the thing that's alive when you share with another and collaborate and you have each other's back. You're together. It's it's a special thing.
I think, I to be honest with you, I haven't really come across too many method actors at all. I mean, one of like the greatest scene partners I ever worked with was Diane Weist. We did a 4-person show together, and she was just everything, that back and forth, just, and I mention her in particular because she's such an accomplished film star, and she had it. She was so great. And I've had the good fortune of working particularly with a lot of generous women, for some reason. Like, in particular, that's where my brain goes when I see the actors that have been the most generous. So
thank you. That's very moving, and it's so encouraging. There are a lot of actors out there that are generous, and so thank you for being one of them and speaking to that.
Of course.
Thank you for being here, sharing openly and honestly to hopefully help you guys out there to bring some understanding and shine some light on things that are difficult and confusing if you're pursuing your dream, or just if you're interested in this world and have no freaking clue. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you so much for being here. It's really,
you're welcome, Sam
it's a
Jane.
pleasure. It's a pleasure. And guys, all that stupid social media stuff that we try and keep it going, like, rate, subscribe, and stay connected. Would love to see you guys again. And Darren, really, thank you so much again.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking me.